And we are live. So, Rob, introduce us.
Well, I want everybody to be really quiet and listen very carefully because Emily and I are on an assignment away from the Pine Hills Palace. We are in the Midwest here looking. Wait a minute, wait a minute. Is that a ghost I see over there? I sense another presence in our midst. Is that Dr. Venkman?
Yes, it is, boys and girls. It's Dr. Venkman.
Where are we at, Dr. Venkman, exactly? Are we in the mean streets of Madison, Wisconsin?
Not that too close to that place, There's a lot of dead people over there, but I try to avoid it.
Must be the outskirts then. Carrolltown, USA, Milky City.
More in
Quick.
Sioux City.
It's a quick version of our on-the-road version, like Charles called of the Xtreme Movie Show here. Tonight we're going to be talking about Cobra Kai and what we think of it so far here, specifically Season 2. So, Emily or Dr. Venkman, who would like to start?
I'll defer to our guest, by all means. Go right on ahead, brother.
Cobra Kai Season 2, what do you think?
I gotta say that I liked it better than the first one, even though the first one had its own good moments. As far as the second one is goes, I would say it's definitely like an 8 out of 10 as far as watching. They had its hokey moments, like most shows do for YouTube Red. Is it worth paying the premium for? I'd say so, but I don't know how many other shows they have on YouTube Red right now. But
were you not entertained by it though, start to finish?
I liked it. I paused every once in a while because I had to take a break. It's a half an hour episodes each, but I would say for one of those shows, you can pause it and come back a week later and still be interested in it, though.
I think the neat thing about this show that reminded me of something that we were talking about earlier offline with the old Incredible Hulk TV show, that was phenomenal episodic television, and it reminded me of some of the older ones, like the Quinn Martin production, specifically The Fugitive, but also one he did before that called The Invaders, where you have a single person kind of walking and being involved in something episodic every week, but there may be the occasional story arcs. And I always said that I thought those worked out better than the huge meta world building that's been going on. So when we had a second season of Cobra Kai, I was like, man, I really liked the first season. Didn't know if they could perform. I was wondering if I was going to be let down. I'm glad they saved Kreese for the second season. I really liked what they did with him early on. I'm about 7 episodes into this, so I know I've got a couple more episodes left. I still like it. It's very entertaining. The opening hooks are good. They do enough stuff to remind you that it's not the 80s, like with Johnny, not knowing the internet and then figuring out Tinder and all these other things too. I think the weakest thing about the show, though, is I don't really know what they're trying to do. Maybe they're just trying to wait for now about LaRusso's wife, because she's kind of hot. She's kind of ugly. She's kind of upscale white woman, then she's kind of not, and I just don't know what to really make of all that.
Well,
and it's just a minor annoyance. Everything else has been great so far.
I was like that too until I got towards the end of the series. I was like, well, she seems like she's getting kind of upset, but then I kind of agree with her. He kind of was starting to ignore her. He was getting too wrapped up in his rivalry with Johnny.
Yeah. She's one note. If you're talking about the wife.
Yes.
She is a one-note character. She's the person that the voice of reason, but all she really does is go, but you're doing bad. You're doing bad at work. You're doing bad here. You're doing bad there. Except for episode 9, you don't really get a sense of a connection between him and his wife. Overall, I find the show to be, I still like it, but I do think it's a step down from the first season. How you doing, Terry Silver, who's saying he's going to be at the end of season 3. So okay, we'll keep an eye out. And saying it's way better than the mediocre movies. I think 3 and 4, the 3 and the next Karate Kid really blew. I enjoyed the first two. Yeah, those are the ones to watch. Don't bother expanding. Although I like the fact that in season 2 they have a callback to Karate Kid 3.
Yes.
So it is a bit of it is canon. Even Ralph Macchio, when he was doing the rounds for Cobra Kai season 1, he says, I'll put the first 2 movies up against anything. I'm very proud of them. I'm great. And he goes, the third one, not so much. But and that's how I feel about the three Daniel LaRusso Karate Kid movies.
What was the reference to 3 though? Because I didn't watch 3 or 4.
Well, the Cobra Kai students, some of them go to Miyagi-Do, and the Miyagi-Do students don't trust him. So he says, I used to be Cobra Kai. And that did happen in the third movie. They recruited him to fight for them because he wanted to protect his championship belt. So that was what they referenced.
That part. I was watching these at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Well, there's a lot to like in this show. I do think that they need to kind of move away from cutting to scenes from the two movies with Johnny in them. Definitely the first movie, like they'll look at each other and then they'll see scenes from the 1980s, and it's a good way to make it show us that those, even though it's 30 years ago, that it's not that long ago in their heads, but it really does seem like a crutch for the story. Like, okay, we're going to work on the nostalgic feels, which worked in the first one because we're being reintroduced to everything. But I think this should be the last season they do that, because otherwise it's going to start feeling, like I said, it's going to feel like a crutch rather than anything else.
I think that for what I've seen so far, that like I said, it's been enjoyable. I can see what you're talking about with it. My immediate reaction to the first season was surprising and fantastic, and we talked about that on previous streams.
Yep.
I think the thing about it is I had no idea how long it was going to go, because sometimes when they do this, Netflix will budget for up to 3 seasons and that's it for the most part. For YouTube Red was such a hit, I don't know if I'm sure they had backup plans and contracts like you do, but I really appreciate the fact that all the original people were involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they're involving the teenagers, actually, because the teenagers to me seem somewhat real. They seem a little like 80ish, like they seem a little too baby-faced to me. There's not enough ugly ones in there. They're all kind of pretty and all that. And it's not a bad thing, but they just look so young, and they're supposed to be in high school. And of course, they're probably 20, 25.
Well, Daniel's son's his daughter, is she supposed to be like 16, I think, in the show? Or what?
Yep.
But yeah, I didn't really care for her. She's the one that irks me the most.
Actually, none of the kids bother me. I do like the fact that they look young, because look at pictures of us back then, Rob. We looked that young, and particularly us. We were the baby-faced teenagers.
Yes.
There were other teenagers that surrounded us that looked like they were, 3 steps further into adulthood than we were. And that's just the way it was back then for us. So I actually like that, because you have teenagers who don't look like, Beverly Hills 90210, where all of them were played by 35-year-old actors.
Well, it's just that she seemed like she was naive to a lot of things. A lot of
them. You are.
And I think it's accurate, because the thing I do like is that I'm not hating any character. I like how whatever's going on that they introduce in that opening Gambit theme-wise with the adults ends up filtering down to the kids in their own version. And I think that's really the strength of the show, that if you talk about giving somebody a second chance, well, that's the theme through it. And then at the end, it may or may not work. But you can see how a specific topic of whatever episode changes a little bit there too. So I like how they're able to kind of say, we're not just going to go and finish here necessarily at the end of the season. We can kind of pull back a little bit, let some of the characters explore themselves. I think it was episode 3 or 4 they introduced the new chick in there too. So I don't have a problem with doing that occasionally. And you see some more in the background that probably they could pull out for later. I assume there'll be a season 3. So I think they've got a good thing going on here. I just don't want them to muck it up. But I guess my only thought is if Daniel and Johnny fight, I think he can only do that one time. But Kreese, man, he just reminds you, even though he's probably 70 years old in real life, and he's got a bad facelift where sometimes he looks fantastic, and other ones he looks really old. I mean, it's just the way it is, I'm being honest. But he still has got an intimidating presence about him, even at his age. And compared to those kids, I'm like, man, this guy still rocks. When he's up there,
man.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, but they did the right thing by playing it along, where he's telling all the fibs and the kids start catching them, because sometimes kids aren't stupid, really.
He's ex-military and stuff, they're saying.
Yeah, and then he's living
they
in that
don't
room
get
by
these
himself, and
fine.
he's like, "I'm a broken man. I just want to have a second chance." And you believe it almost, but you know what he is. So I kind of like that, but I thought they could have milked that a little bit more.
Well, here I think this is funny because usually I am the I am the critic in this particular channel who is very soft on something, and you come along and you destroy it. And the thing is I like this, but this is not as good. This is not as good as the first season. This is they've got a lot of flaws, and one of the biggest flaw is Kreese.
Why?
Because he's an obvious villain. And I think that was one of the best things about season 1 is this was 2 points of view, and you could take either side, and the other side could be villainous. In this one, Cobra Kai is an obvious villain, and that's where it really falls to me.
I'm gonna say right now, if you haven't seen episode 10, there's gonna be spoilers here because I'm gonna tell you right now. At the end of it, where they're fighting, Miguel gets hurt, and then she basically, Daniel's son yells at, what's his name? Johnny's son. I forget his name is.
Johnny's son.
Yeah, Robbie is
Robbie.
his name. But, yeah,
I got a feeling Robbie's gonna be a villain in the next season.
We're gonna have to get to that. I want to talk a little bit as it goes up. It's okay. Here. Let me go on to. Okay, first of all, Kreese makes an obvious villain out of Cobra.
I think I'm agreeing with you is what I'm saying. I like what they did early on. They could have milked that, so maybe that's a weakness. I enjoyed it. They should have done better. I agree. What else?
The second one is, what's this season about? It's good. It's good for the characters. I think it's very good looking at the characters as they go along. But what's this about? What's this season about?
It seems like it's more focused on Johnny. It's still on Johnny, but he's more focused on what he really wants. He thought he could do Cobra Kai, but he realized that Cobra Kai needed to change.
Well, the first season was Cobra Kai comes back. It's the rivalry between Danny and Johnny. They're aiming towards they're starting back up the tournament, the whole 9 yards, and they're aiming towards that. There's a focus, there's a goal, there's an end game. This is just, and once again, it's not bad to have a character study show, but this show right now, season 2, was not about anything. It wasn't even about the rivalry, because Kreese pulled focus away from Johnny from the rivalry between him and Danny. It was it's not a bad show, because I like the characters.
They were trying the
journey. It just is, season 2 is completely unfocused compared to season 1.
Yeah, season 2 was more shifting the rivalry focus, trying to patch up, make Danny and Johnny friends again, somewhat more friends, because they had a rocky past. And in the first season, they were kind of rocky. And then then he bought the car, they bonded, went to the bar. But then things happened where they became villains again. And
they do have that scene as well in the exact same spot. In episode 9, Johnny and his girlfriend go out with Danny and his wife, and they have a nice adult conversation the same way they did in, I think it was season 7 or 6, episode 7 or 8 in season 1. So it's the same kind of lull before the storm. Yeah. And it works. Those are the scenes I like. I would not mind seeing these two get together and then try to rein in the rivalry now that's between the kids. I don't think this is a show that can go on forever.
I'd say next season's the last season, probably.
If they're smart, they would wrap it up, because
you're going to have to go against Kreese. Is going to be the obvious villain. You're going to have to defeat him.
Mm-hmm. But how do you defeat him? Oh, you can't own your karate dojo. This is something he can keep doing forever and ever and ever. But the thing is there's really one story, and that is these are two rival karate dojos where the students don't like each other. At some point, you're going to have to wrap it up. I
can see two ways of the next season ending. Either Kreese finally doing something where he causes them to go to jail, or if they want to continue it up, they'd have to, if they want to bring him back, have him disappear again, whatever, leave. town after losing the tournament. They do another tournament.
Well, here's something else. Okay, what do we want to talk about here? Because I don't want to talk about the last episode just yet.
Well, let me say this. I'll pair it off of what you guys are saying here, in that I disagree totally with what you're saying, in that you're saying, well, it has to have a point. It doesn't have to have a point. Most soaps or run-along things just have enough excuses out there to move it along. You know, the whole red herring or the rabbit's foot and all that crap. So I don't mind that either. I know what you're saying. It feels different because I think we know after the first season it's not going to be like this. They're obviously smart about it, and everybody originally is involved in it, so they're going to do what they can, I think, to protect the property as much as they can. But let's face it, if season 3 is good, they're going to want to do 4. They'll probably have some lines that they could go to based off of feedback. They're going to be smart with this, and I like that. And I think when they start running out of steam, we'll know. So I don't necessarily think they have to have an immediate end. I don't know that they have to have an immediate villain either. I think, honestly, what they really are going to probably try to do at some point, whether Kreese is the bad guy or not, or these two guys reconcile and everybody lives happily ever after. Bottom line is they're going to have to, like everything else, pass this on to the next generation so they have their rivalries. So 5 years from now, if they want to do a spin-off work because these guys are too old, you know, the kids can kind of do it. So I think what they're just doing is exposing us to enough of the characters potentially to see which ones fit, which ones stick. It's very multicultural for down the road, and there's nothing wrong with that either. So I definitely agree with you guys. In the middle of these middle couple episodes, 5, 6, 7 that I've seen, that's the feeling that I'm getting, where you're going, it's losing steam. I don't think it's losing steam, but I just think that's what they have to do, is the gap. And then I think, of course, the last couple episodes will pick up and have a resolution.
I mean, I don't mind what's going on with the first season. The second season, it's basically the same plot line. They fight, you know, and then they become friends. And yet, eventually, yes, if they keep doing that for another 2 seasons, it will get repetitive and boring. But I mean, yeah, I don't agree.
That's why I say they need to wrap it up, or they're just going to be spinning wheels. Because they've only got the one story of the two rivals.
If they bring back,
you like the A-Team, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the A-Team did it was the exact same show every single time. They say something cute, they drug them, they do whatever. What we looked forward to is the creativity on how they did it. Exactly. So as long as that's fresh, it can still be the same, and I'll be happy.
Have you ever rewatched the A-Team?
Oh man, dude, I was watching that in the
Airwolf, maybe.
I'd be sick home from school. I'd be watching that. Around noontime, it'd be on Fox.
Okay, now I'm going to talk a little. I'll talk a little bit about the A-Team, but we can't lose focus. But I did try to rewatch it, and the best parts about it are when the skinny stunt doubles jumped in for Mr. T. Yeah, like there's a scene where Mr. T crashes through a ceiling, and he's about a foot shorter and about 100 pounds lighter.
Well, you know, let's talk about what we really like about the show. Like, I mean, was it because it beat our expectations?
Oh,
you know, what do we really like? What's fun about it that's missing from a lot of stuff we do today?
Man.
I think that Mr. T and that Howling Matt Murdock just worked as a team.
I'm talking about Cobra Kai.
Seriously, I think, like I said, while this season was unfocused, I think it's a really good character study. I really do. If you want now, as much as I hate bringing in Kreese because it creates an obvious villain, watch the way they wrote Johnny around him. He reverts back to being a kid.
Yes.
You know, and this can happen when you're talking to your mom and dad. You know, we're nearly 50 years old, but when you talk to your mom, when you talk to your dad, you know, you kind of not 100%, but there's that
those roles in those
there's that hierarchy
situations.
Yep. And this is his other father. This is the one who really raised him. Was Kreese. So you could see, especially when Kreese first shows up and he starts berating his students, he wants to impress. And when the students laugh and joke the way they would if Kreese wasn't there and Johnny would be okay with it, he all of a sudden is oh no, you can't be doing that. That's bad. Because
he's almost embarrassed.
Yeah. And I love the way they did that. As much as I don't like the obvious good guy, bad guy thing. I think it really does add a layer to Johnny's character. But the thing is you could see it also in Hawk. Hawk had been bullied for his lip, and they even bring that up in a scene.
Yeah, that was good.
But the thing is if you ever watch before he goes all hawkish and he starts bullying other people, he looks around. And I don't know if that's an actor choice or director choice, but it's really good because this is a guy who is constantly seeking other people's approval. And so he does this before he starts beating on somebody, he looks around. Is anybody watching? How am I going to be perceived? How am I going to be shit lip? Yeah.
He did it at the party.
Yeah. And I thought that is such a great touch to these characters. It just, it shows that there's thought behind what they do. It isn't just we need bully A to be a bully. There's a reason behind what they do.
There's so many different bullies in this, not in Cobra Kai. There's different versions.
Right. Yeah, there is. Yeah. And I got to say, as much as I wanted to punch, what is that kid's name? Derek? That kid exists. I want to learn karate, but can we just do it in an afternoon?
Oh, that little kid? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he wants to know karate. He doesn't want to learn karate, and that kid exists as well.
I'm too weak. I don't punch in the face. I love to punch the crap out of him.
Well, that was the scene I was just going to bring up because I just got done seeing that before we hopped on tonight. And holy crap, if they had showed that and didn't say anything and he just ran out of there, I'd have shit my pants and went, holy crap, they went there. I mean, you could say it's more effective because you don't see the violence like the psycho scene and all that stuff. But to me, when he came out of there with that broken nose, I was like, I like the adult themes. I wish they would have lingered on that or worked that angle a bit more. I don't know if they do the last couple episodes, but yeah.
He was making fun of Grease's snake guy. He's like, oh, it's incorrect, and he's touching his arm.
Okay, yeah, but two things. One, I think it would have really cemented Kreese as a solid villain had they shown him punch him.
I understand.
But two, legally, Kreese was in the right. As soon as he grabbed his arm, Kreese was in the right.
Well, I'm just saying it was a kind of a shocking scene. And let's be honest. I think no matter what you think of the kids, I think they're acting as solid. They don't come across as jerk-offs. The karate is unbelievable as it was in the 80s. It has that 80s style, I'll just say. It's not as whatever. It's not realistic looking, of course, but it's good enough for what it's supposed to be that you'll buy it, you'll let it slide. But man, Kreese, like I say, is a man among boys there. And so it's just when that kid came out and he had, the mark across his nose, that's the sign, you break it right there at the bridge and all that. I was like, damn it. I really liked how they have that adult theme, but I just wanted to see, I guess, a bit more of a darker tone or undercurrent from the first episode on. And it doesn't have to be there every episode. Like it's got to be the Punisher or something, but it's not a complaint or a criticism. It's just an observation. I don't want them to stall out and get too cute. And I think that's where you brought up having the obvious bad guy. I wish they would have milked that a bit more. They could have done something because you just don't have to have good versus bad or evil. It can be a character study kind of thing, but still.
There is going to be, other than Kreese, there might be some more villains. Kreese might be the main one, but can you imagine if they bring back Allie for next season, if they do that, or even in general, what season is? It's going to put a further wedge between Danny and Johnny, and Johnny's on or not Johnny, but Danny's on a rocky relationship with his wife right now.
They I like the fact that they brought back the other Cobra Kai.
That was good.
And
that was good.
And they were like, wait, you're still talking to Kreese, that fucking psycho, and they really go into it. By the way, Edward's saying that the kid's name is Dimitri. Okay, I remember that.
Yes, that's what
Dimitri. But yeah, I enjoyed that episode, and it's just one more thing. Hey, look, these are real people, and they're treating them like real people. And you mentioned the karate, and one of the reasons I do like the karate in this is it's not Superman karate. The only character who tries to make it Superman karate is the character Hawk, when he always does what he sees in the MMA, and he always gets nailed for it. He tries to be extravagant about it. And there is karate that looks good in the movies, and there's karate that gets the shit done.
Yes.
And and it's two fighting styles. They you see that in their little paintball karate fight thing, which I'll tell you what, there's lawsuits abound in this. if you're talking about, okay, we're gonna work on headbutts, and then they're literally headbutting, or okay, we're gonna learn how to do karate, kick him in the face.
He's like, do me next.
Yeah,
you can literally break bones. Like nobody's gonna be going.
What is your guys' thoughts on the character Stingray?
I'll take this one.
Okay.
Because we know yours already. I was just gonna mention him. I was gonna say we have to bring up Stingray. When Johnny went to go get the mirror and he's doing like real life things and you're seeing him and this guy came up, I thought, you know what? Absolutely realistic, fabulous piece of acting. It showed you how old Johnny is and how he's out of touch, but how he may know some things. A day in the life of. I thought it was fantastic. And then he showed up again. Okay, he's at the karate studio. He's got the cash. He lives in mom's basement. Okay. And then he showed up again when they're out in the woods.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you know, after he gets I had forgotten about them. I had forgotten about the Medal of Honor. I admit that freely. I just did. So when he showed it to him, I went, holy crap, they really could have worked and played that angle a bit more. And then they got it back from him. I just would have liked to have seen that milked a bit more. Maybe that's another adult theme. And but then you had Stingray come through, which, okay, he's going to be that guy or whatever. Yeah. I think the guy does the job fabulously, but still, you know, hey, look, Stingray's in channel with us. He hit out as well because that's what Stingrays do. I don't mind him. I think the guy just is a bit of a scene stealer, and more props to him because you know it kind of like livened it up a little bit, made me laugh a little bit instead of just go, okay, that's nice.
That was did you watch the episode where they had the party?
Not yet.
Yeah. I just
he's in there too, and he's got the beer. He's got like 40-ounce bottles, and he's got duct tape to both hands.
He's playing Edward 40 Hands.
Yeah.
Where you tape up some 40s to your hands and to see who can finish them quick.
It's just funny because he gets like we get a serious moment and like, oh, they're gonna start fighting, and all of a sudden he comes in walking in, and just like for comic relief. I'm like, dude, go away.
He's the cartoon character surrounded by real characters.
He's like the guy from the Nerds, the one that drank all the time.
Mm-hmm. Ogre. Yeah.
Yeah. He's the idiot, but he's like, you know.
You know what?
Okay, here's my take on
bad in season 3.
Here's my take on Stingray, and it's pretty much the same as yours. I like every scene he's in. I just hate him.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good way of saying it. That's why I have to talk my way through sometimes.
It's like if I can laugh and I could talk about every scene he's in, but when I really think about his role in the show, he is the cartoon character. And he doesn't quite fit with the rest of the show. But the thing is we've met that guy. We know that guy.
And he is that guy. He is kind of a cool guy. You just don't want to hang out with him.
No, not at all. Yeah, he is.
It's like Johnny kept him on because he had money. He's like, I always would have kicked him out. He goes, well, we'll give you a trial run, you know.
He's like a actually guy. You know, just yeah. But that's the thing. I cannot tell you a scene that I didn't like. I thought it was funny as hell when he popped up out of the grass.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And you're right. The scene in the hardware store, that was funny as hell because we've seen this guy before, and yet when I think of it as a whole and what he adds to the show, he's actually a detriment. So it's like, you know, the whole is not as good as the sum of the parts or whatever the saying is or something, you know.
Do you guys ever watch Gravity Falls?
No.
It's a Disney cartoon. Anyway, he's basically like the one character in there where he's just a bumbling idiot, you know, but he just comes in just for comic relief. That's basically his job. I don't mind every once in a while, but I mean, like, if they're getting ready like to do like fighting and stuff like that, and he just comes in and starts, hey, what's up, guys? I'm like, I just like, dude, wish they'd punch him.
Well, of course, at the end of in the very last episode, he's trying to get a job as a security guard at the high school. And he says, let me prove myself. And he walks out. And of course, a spoiler alert right here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. in the last episode, you have the big brawl between the students of Cobra Kai and the students of Miyagi-Do in the school. And he says, I'll prove myself. And he goes out and he starts beating the shit out of Miyagi-Do students to get everything settled. So here's this, he says he's going to stop the fight. And he does that by helping the Cobra Kai beat their opponents. He even gives Hawk a high five as he passes by him. So I thought that was a decent, like I said, I love the scenes he's in. He's just a horrible character.
He had the sunglasses on too.
Yeah.
The suit.
It's interesting to say the least.
The last episode was kind of predictable. They got to have something going on.
Well, one thing, and this is another problem I have with Kreese as a character. What's the end game? What are you doing? Who are you creating? Because it goes from you want to create strong students who can survive, blah, 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 who can deal with this and this and this, to you're creating supervillains.
Yes.
What exactly are you trying to teach these students who come to your karate dojo to learn karate? And you've got someone who, during the final episode, during the fight, wraps one of those belts. You remember in the 80s, Rob, you would have the belts with the spikes on them, and you could wrap it around your fists to, they put that on. They put that on, and they say, as Sensei says, no mercy. Well, wait a second. I don't think Sensei says go murder somebody. And that's the problem I have with Kreese. Kreese seems to be A-okay with, well, if somebody steps up, murder them.
Well, the reason these kids are messed up, because remember, I guess Johnny's mom must have died, or his stepdad must have died, because he was gone for like a while, and I guess the Kreese took over. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Kreese seems to think that murder is A-okay, and I can't believe that somebody survived as long as he did outside of prison. Yeah. By promoting his students to go kill people.
Yeah, it's kind of like you don't want him to become so absurd and away from everybody where it just makes it unbelievable. But you want him to, if he's going to be the heavy, that's fine. But I just think the mistake is just relying on him to be that. If they just have him in there as a little bit, you get a taste of him, that's enough.
Kreese has his minions do it. He never gets his hands dirty, though.
Yeah, but the thing is they can go to jail for what they are doing here.
Yeah, I know they can.
And it's one thing to create bullies. It's another thing to create murderers. So there has to be a point. Johnny in his new, we have to fight with honor, his thing would have still created bullies, but they wouldn't have gone to murder. And that's what Kreese did. And
Kreese doesn't care anymore. He's just finally snapped. He's just that evil.
Yeah, they tried to make him a little sympathetic by, he's homeless and that.
But
kind
what,
of thing.
though? I don't buy that, though. I wonder if that's all just a sham, though. Maybe he really isn't homeless. He's just doing that,
I think he is. He is a broken man. I think it was a good acting bit on his part, but I think that's intentionally how they wanted to write the character. Absolutely. This guy's got nothing left, so he's going back to what he knows, and people usually don't change their stripes dramatically. You can have some big things happen, but we haven't heard a lot. Well, I mean, honestly, he hasn't been more than a one-dimensional character,
And Johnny is the person that he can do that with, because Johnny is the one that he raised and is intimidated by Kreese just by being Kreese.
Yeah.
Just because Johnny is his surrogate son.
Well, when I saw it after Johnny kicked him out and he kept the photo and put it down, I'm like, wouldn't you just throw it away? So, I mean, when you watch the last episode, it kind of makes sense. Well, that's why he didn't throw the photo of Kreese away.
Well, I'm interested in seeing where it goes. I have to admit, I do like the scenes better between Danny and Johnny where they're actually talking rather than fighting, because it shows, adulthood.
Oh, when they fought in Johnny's apartment.
Yeah, that's in the last episode as well.
I cringe for the TV, that poor TV.
Oh, yeah, that was a nice TV to destroy. It's almost as good as the one we have here at the bunker underneath a undisclosed location in Pine Hills.
Next to the Institute for the Criminally Insane.
Well, I wasn't going to dox us.
Well, I said near. I don't give anybody exact GPS coordinates. And besides, we're in the middle of the Milky Midwest here, on the
The
outskirts of Madison, Wisconsin, and some cow palace that Dr. Venkman said we need to
it's
come
all
to.
right, dog. Well,
Kreese's homeboy from the third movie was a billionaire. That is true.
you guys are in Millerland. It's all right. We can have a few beers, party. It's all right.
The Cobra Kai had been bought by a rich guy who was very interested in winning trophies, which I assume is still going on. So, yeah, I actually thought Cobra Kai. Then this is what I thought at the beginning of last season. I thought Cobra Kai was owned by someone. Like the name would have been trademarked at this point. So I can actually see there being a legal talk between Kreese and somebody saying, well, yeah, you can't have the name. It's mine.
Well, I wondered though if, because when they start the business up, he never got a patent for it. I think he just chose the name,
Yeah.
Never-
I did like the throwaway joke when he says, hey, put Thunderstruck on there. I think that'll be, I think the rights to that'll cost a lot. He goes, no, I already own it. The cassette's in the back end.
He's like, yeah, just do the Dane thing, like, yeah, I just like drinking coolers,
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about our final thoughts about it and what we'd like to see for the third season. Because I assume there'll be one. I haven't checked to see if it's announced, but I'm sure it would be coming soon.
Let's see. What do I? Overall, I do think it's still a strong show. I feel that season 2 is more unfocused, but the unfocused plot allows us to focus more on character, which is a benefit for some. As far as people like Kreese, it's a detriment because he is really a paper thin character. But overall, it's still entertaining. It's enjoyable. Not worth buying YouTube Red because what else? They've got Cobra Kai, but what else? But it's definitely worth seeking out other places or using up your 7-day trial to watch it and then cancel.
Yeah. Was it a CBR is saying that the big fight was the most disappointing of season 2. I thought it'd be more climatic, but it was just like a mess, like a joke. I assume they're talking about the karate fight at the end.
Yeah, the season 10, most of it is just this huge brawl between the two dojos, and it gets ridiculous. It really does. It gets while all throughout you have real karate, you have real kids, real speeds. This becomes cartoonish. This is the superhero show. This is something you find on Iron Fist more than this.
You have the two little kids going at each other like, I'm going to kick your ass. You broke my glasses. It's revenge time. I'm like, what? It got just so hokey. It's like, dude, like, get serious. I just don't get into it.
And nobody's actually getting hurt. Like all those I got punched in the face in high school. You know what happens? Fat lips and black eyes.
Yeah. It's like, dude, I felt like I was watching Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's like, oh, my hair has managed to get better during this fight rather than actual messed up and pulled, and and that's something else too. I know karate, but if you've ever seen a high school fight, even between people who know how to fight, it always ends up on the ground. If you ever watch a real fight, it's boring as freaking hell because it'll start off punch, then it becomes a roll around. That happens every damn time. The only movie that I've ever seen it do right I can't say it's the only, but the one that comes to mind that did a fight properly was Fast and the Furious 2 between Paul Walker and the black guy, Tyrese or something like that, where they start fighting and then they tackle each other, they roll around, and everybody who was excited to watch just goes, and they turn around and walk away because they're rolling around on the ground at this point. That's a real fight. This high school thing, like I said, was Iron Fist hallway thing or something like that.
Best high school fight was My Bodyguard.
Yeah, that's a good one too. And you know what? Ended it up on the ground as well.
You guys didn't like The Substitute?
Say again?
They had high school fighting. The Substitute, didn't that have fighting in the hallways?
I had Tom Berenger in there. I loved it.
Yes.
I figured out
I love
who Tori
Sniper
was.
as well, so
calm
Mark.
I was trying to figure out who the girl who plays Tori in this series. It's actually Peyton List. She's from the Disney Channel.
Okay. Well, I think all the students did well.
She's from Jessie and Bunked. That's where she's from. I couldn't remember where she was from. I'm like, oh, I know that girl. And she looks different. I'm like, oh, it's Peyton List. She looks totally different.
You're talking about LaRusso's daughter?
No. This is Tori,
the bad girl.
The bad girl.
Oh, the one that showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's kind of hot.
It's it too.
In a weird big face sort of fish way.
In your life, you can talk about it. It's all right.
Well, I was gonna say LaRusso's daughter. I'm looking at her going, she's not ugly, but she's not pretty, and she's probably gonna be a porker. But when you look at her, it's like they must have filmed it while she's, at that time of the month, because she's just glowing. She just pops out at you, and you're like, what? But the thing is as goofy or unrealistic as the big fight may be and the rest of the karate, they all look like they move pretty naturally, like they're not too stiff, and that's the one thing I was surprised by them, and that's where I do think they've done a good job as actors, not just with the karate but with their characters and showing things. So I've appreciated it. I think it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. I'm definitely looking forward to season 3. After that, I might be more inclined to go, okay, now what? But the problem I have is when something's really good like this and a surprise, I don't want to wait another year to binge watch it. But if they had a show like this and they broke it up like they did with The Walking Dead and everything, God, it would be so much bigger, I think, possibly. It's just worth talking about. It's a lot of fun.
Look at that show, The Tick, on Amazon. They broke it up as 6 episodes. It originally was 12 episodes, but they broke it up in 2 half seasons. And what sucked is that they did the first 6 episodes, and then you had to wait a whole year later for the second part of the second season, or the first season. But then when season 2 came out, they released it all at once. So it's like either you wait or you binge watch it all at once. I mean, I don't mind if they bring it all at once.
Yeah, I appreciate binge watching. I love Game of Thrones, but one of the worst things is waiting that week. Want to see what happens next. Come on, guys. I am ruined by the binge watch these days.
Well, that's the thing. I'm gonna watch it tonight. I'm gonna start watching it later on because I have 8 seasons to go through, or basically 7 seasons all on I can watch. So I'm like, they're 45 minutes each, I think, or 40.
Yeah, they're around that, and it's definitely worth it. As far as Cobra Kai, I disagree with you. I think the daughter's a cutie.
She is, and it's you say in certain scenes, she's another scenes is man, she looks really like a mom. Or she got the mom jeans on.
I disagree with you guys on that one. But overall, it's still a fun show. It's still good. It's still got the quality. And it might be one of those things where, I'm saying they got to wrap it up. I can't see this going past season 3. But they may find a storyline. They may find something to do. I mean, God knows they didn't waste one this season. So they've got extra storylines to use next season. So they could try that, but the characters are strong enough for me to follow.
Yes. And that's what I've said before. Story is secondary to character. Story just as an excuse for us to explore the character, the hero's journey, whatever you want to call it. And that's really, I think, a lot of times what it comes down to. Not that you can't have a good idea or a good thing, but the initial reaction of all the original people coming back, in essence, season 1, that kind of made us just instantly attracted to it. And the fact that it didn't totally suck, I think, made us really pop. And now that all those lenses are off, we're looking at it with a bit more of a critical eye, but still entertaining, still a lot of fun, still
the one theme I'm glad they're keeping is Johnny trying to get on goods with his son, a good relationship. I like that. It's not just like the same relationship with Danny. It's the same mirror where and 1 minute is good, and then something else happens where it causes him to look bad, even though it's not he didn't intentionally do it. It's basically it's one of those things are they going to get together or are they not going to get together? It's one of those things.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's one of the strong points of the show, or at least it definitely was in the first season, is Johnny wasn't the bad guy. Danny wasn't the bad guy. They were guys, and they had opinions and reactions. Sometimes they were right. Sometimes they were wrong.
Checkered past, basically.
And the addition of Kreese, you definitely have a bad guy.
Yep.
But then again, that may be the strong suit of season 3 is that they've got a definitive bad guy to go against. Both of them, because I think we both all see a teaming up of Johnny and Danny next season.
Yeah, we would all love to see that go up against Kreese.
Yeah. Oh,
and
definitely.
If you want to go past season 3, then what needs to happen is they need to lose, and lose big, and lose surprisingly. Somehow, however you want to define that for the way they would want to write it going into season 4.
Well, if you paid attention to the characters, Danny, he's talking about, well, it's all about balance. It's all about balance. It's all about balance. And you have Danny with the Miyagi-Do defense, and then you have Cobra Kai with the sharp offense. You bring it together in season 3. That could be the balance that he's ultimately talking about to go against. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm putting too much together.
The fact we're talking about it, that's a good sign. And that's
Yeah.
how it used to be when we used to talk about these things.
I have no problem with Kreese being the main villain. You know, they could if they really wanted to. Like I said, if they bring in more people, you know, they could always create a new character too. You never know. We used to say that Kreese didn't have a son somewhere to randomly pop up. I mean, that would be kind of cheesy, but you know, it add more drama.
I'm excited for it. So I will say this in wrapping up here, that since we are on assignment and we're out in the middle of nowhere here in this cow field, it's
I'm
up
not
to
getting paid.
well, you're the one that led us here, so you got to lead us back. So
I didn't let you guys. You guys just showed up randomly.
We just don't appear anywhere, sir. You got to lead us out there, sir. Sign off, please.
Before we do the sign-offs, I would like to take a moment just to say a little bit of I don't want silence because we got to talk about it. John Singleton died this week.
Yes,
he was the director of Boys in the Hood, Poetic Justice, Rosewood, which is a story that happened in Florida here, and Fast and the Furious 2. The movie that I was talking about had the one of the realistic movie fights. I was never a huge and Higher Learning. He did that movie as well. I was never a real big John Singleton fan, but it kind of hit me because he's only 3 years older than us.
Well, Luke Perry just died.
It's something that these guys who you would think have money to take care of themselves died. I mean, you know.
Well,
it's not the money, it's the drugs and the partying and all that. Plus, you can still do all that and nothing happens. So
the thing is that these guys died of strokes, you know, like, why did you guys, I mean, they say like that by age 40, you're supposed to be going to see your doctor at least more than once a year just for heart checkups, you know.
Yep. I keep myself and my heart healthy by eating fatty foods for it to fight. I figure I'm strengthening it.
That's what it was. Ben Stiller, he went got himself checked for testicular cancer, and then they actually caught it first before he got so bad.
It's kind of sad because he had complications due to a stroke that he had, and that was pretty bad. But I do like the movie Boys in the Hood. I do like that one. I like Rosewood, even though it became a bit sensationalist. The character Ving Rhames that he wanted to add in, so there was a strong black character that helped rescue everybody. That character didn't exist, so he added that in. But otherwise, at least it got the story out there.
That's right. I know from Too Fast, Too Furious. I saw him in that one.
Yeah, and which was okay. It was one of at least it was a decent one of movies. It wasn't one of the cartoon ones that came back later. But once again, I don't know. It just kind of hit me on that one. I was like, damn, that's just too young. 51 is too. I can't see only having 3 years to live.
He had a great. I'm looking at his movies right now. He had a lot of them. He was in Beverly Hills Cop 3. He was in Shaft. I mean, he was a Baby Boy. I mean, Higher Learning. That's why I think that.
John Singleton did that one too. Baby Boy was okay. That was okay. Well, anyway, I didn't want to do a live stream after it without at least mentioning it. You know, rest in peace, John Singleton.
John Singleton over Spike Lee any day. We'll leave it
any
at that.
day. Twice on Thursdays. Yes, I will say that. Yeah, John Singleton knew how to make a movie. Spike Lee has a message. Movies. And he finds a message that he wants to tell, and then he makes a movie around it. John Singleton made a movie, and you just got what he wanted to say. And I always thought he put story before the message. Unfortunately, Spike doesn't, and that's one of his biggest flaws. Anyway, like I said, couldn't go without bringing that up. But to that end, Venkman, you want to sign off? Do your bit?
I really don't have a bit. I'm just Dr. Venkman, you know. And just if you guys get money, just donate to me. I'll take it.
Okay, and don't forget to go on over. If you like comics, go to I Love Comics. If you like Disney, go to The Homegrown Tourist. And of course here at Xtreme Movie Show. And Mr. Bryn, you want to see us out?
Stay extreme.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.